Samsung launches its new Galaxy S4.
And the company is also experimenting with mind-controlled tablets.
International Symposium on Remote Sensing takes place.
Researchers discover how the brain works when looking for something.
Dutch city offers flat-pack homes.
China conducts a test flight with home-developed biofuel.
Solar-powered plane flies over San Francisco.
And the mystery of the origins of water on Jupiter's atmosphere is solved. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of Insight. We're going to start with the latest news from Samsung, who are launching the new Galaxy S4. Now it's actually being launched in Seoul, the capital of Korea, where Samsung is based. Now the S4 has many different features, and some of the new features such as eye tracking have sparked off a lot of media interest. But we're still to see if it's actually going to be able to translate that media interest into good sales, because a lot of the reviews are quite mixed. Some people are saying that there's a lot of good software features, but in terms of the actual hardware and the phone as a complete package, it's nothing really inspirational.
Yeah, we've really seen how the market for mobile phones has changed over the years. We had the big player BlackBerry, followed by a big market share in Apple, and Samsung seems to be taking over now. Now available in more than 150 countries, the new phone should be doing quite well.
Now, staying with Samsung, they've actually started experimenting with the idea of mind-controlled tablets. So, Kaleem, we've got this huge range of touchscreen tablets, but how would you actually feel controlling it with your mind?
This is an amazing development because there are so many people with physical impairments, and life for them is a struggle anyway. And if anything can be created to help them, it's going to be fantastic for them. So what's basically happening is just through the blink of an eye or through the movements of your eyes, things will take place on the computer screen, which will help determine the way a program functions or switches between functions.
Now, the technology is just being tested at the moment, but what it means is for the person who's using the tablet that they just have to put on this headset, which has probes which can detect electrical signals in the brain, and using that electrical signals, it can actually translate that into a way of communicating with the laptops, with the tablets. So what that actually means is that in terms of their testing, what they've done is they've had people who are wearing this cap and actually staring at particular points on the screen, and the tablet has actually been able to realize what part of the screen they're looking at.
So this could be the development of something big for people with impairments, but also for common use. If they could try and develop the feature of the cap into a better, more user-friendly device, this could mean a whole new range of devices out there on the market.
Yeah, it's something that we've seen with all kind of technology. It starts at a very rough level, but once they actually get the technology into full swing, then it comes down into something which is obviously be able to use in a consumer market. So at the moment, like you mentioned, you do have to wear this cap, but like Samsung have shown in the S4, where you can control videos and pause them with your eyes, and actually just looking away from the screen will actually pause the video. That kind of technology is being developed in this story as well, using tablets as well, just through mind control. Potentially, this could be, revolutionary. Now we've got a special video report for the next story on our program. Let's take a look.
On May 14th, Nokia introduced its Lumia 925, a new interpretation of its award-winning flagship, the Nokia Lumia 920. The Nokia Lumia 925 introduces a metal design and showcases the latest PureView camera innovation, new features and third-party applications coming to the Nokia Lumia range. The Nokia Lumia 925 includes the most advanced lens technology and next-generation imaging software to capture clearer, sharper pictures and videos, including best low-light images. The Nokia Lumia 925 also introduces the new Nokia Smart Camera mode, coming as an update to all Lumia Windows Phone 8 smartphones. Nokia Smart Camera offers an easy way to capture 10 images at once and edit the pictures with options like Best Shot, Action Shot and Motion Focus for creating the perfect high-quality image. The Nokia Lumia 925 introduces metal for the first time to the Nokia Lumia range, bringing appeal and unique benefits like increased robustness. A wireless charging cover can be clipped onto the back of the phone to take advantage of Nokia's extensive wireless charging accessories and ecosystem. Leading Nokia services such as the HERE suite of integrated location and navigation services add to the smartphone's offerings. Sales are expected to start in the UK, Germany, Italy, Spain and China in June, followed by the US and a number of other countries.
Now, the moments after a devastating earthquake are critical in helping to make survival chances better. The International Symposium on Remote Sensing, which is taking place in Beijing, is helping this chance. Let's have a look.
The 35th International Symposium for Remote Sensing of the Environment took place in Beijing last month. Themed Earth Observation and Global Environment Change, the 5-day event attracted more than 1,000 scholars and experts in remote sensing and related fields from some 50 countries and regions. Participants discussed and exchanged ideas on various topics, including climate change and atmosphere, food crisis and poverty reduction, biodiversity, disaster reduction, and others. The international event aims at promoting the development and application of the remote sensing technology. China has planned to launch 25 Earth observation satellites during the period of 2013 to 2035, according to information released at the symposium. The technology has been providing solid support for rescue operations after an earthquake on April 20th in southwest China's Sichuan province. Data collected by remote sensing device on remote control aircraft rendered in 3-dimension scenes, providing first-hand material for the analysis of landscape and potential dangers.
Now, we've mentioned a lot about electronic search engines, but what about our actual brain when it's trying to find something? Well, researchers in the USA have discovered that when we're in search of something, various visual and non-visual regions of the brain mobilize to track down that object. Kaleem, can you tell us a bit more?
So basically, this was a study using MRI or magnetic resonance imaging and also using blood flow measures of the brain. And what they were trying to identify are which parts of the brain are working to try and help find objects. And what they were looking at is to try and see how dynamic the brain is and see how it could actually multitask, do various tasks at the same time. And the results of the study show that the brain is actually a fantastic organ, much more complex than we originally thought. The results of this study will also help us to identify which parts of the brain are used in multitasking, which could actually help us to identify the causes and possible treatments of conditions like ADHD, where people have a difficulty in concentrating on various tasks.
Okay, it's really interesting to see how the human brain is constantly providing inspiration for scientists, and there's so much research that's been done over the last few years, and I'm sure will continue to be done, and there's so much that scientists are able to learn from the brain, and the more we learn about the brain, the more amazing it seems.
It just appears that this is just the tip of the iceberg. Let's go to our correspondent for the details of our next story.
Palestinians welcomed Google's decision to put the name Palestine under the banner of its search page for the Palestinian territories, while Israel criticized the move. Palestinians hailed Google's move as a virtual victory on the long path to the state they seek in the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Gaza Strip, which Israel seized in the 1967 war. With bilateral negotiations stalled for 2.5 years over Jewish settlement building, the Palestinians have campaigned for foreign recognition of statehood and were upgraded to non-member state at the United Nations in November. Following the UN lead, Google's Palestinian homepage and other products previously labeled Palestinian territories were changed on May 1st to read Palestine. But the move raises a lot of questions about the role of Google and such service providers in international politics. Google Maps currently shows little or no detail for major Palestinian towns such as Nablus and Ramallah, while many Jewish West Bank settlements have streets and parks clearly labeled.
Now, when you go to buy furniture for your home, you're quite used to it being in flat packs, but have you ever heard of a house being flat packed? Well, there's a Dutch city that's offering residents the chance to choose from a range of high-quality, flat-pack designs for their first homes.
So what's happening here is that you can now see the potential of a new home on a piece of paper without the hassle of an architect and engineers, and you can then design a whole city based on a cheap method of producing multiple homes, particularly for those who are buying homes for the first time.
So they're all designed beforehand? Is that correct?
All designed beforehand and all set out in a way that it's going to be very easy for town planners to also plan the new buildings and plan the new sites.
It's really important when you're talking about cost and the time of planning as well. So something like this, a scheme like this, can really help. Now, the Dutch city of Nijmegen has worked with more than 20 architecture firms to offer first-time home buyers a chance to grab a stylish home. It's a great way of being able to balance the cost and the quality of design. Now, when we're actually talking about flat pack design, obviously it's not going to come in cardboard boxes like we think of our furniture, but what it means is that the different parts of the structure can all be made off-site, shipped onto the site, and it speeds up the time of manufacture right there and then.
And many people are looking at this very closely, and even the United Kingdom has a shortage of housing. So they're looking at the success of this possible project and seeing whether it can also be reproduced in other parts of the world.
Now we've got a special video report for the next story on our program. Let's take a look.
The first Canadian astronaut to command the International Space Station landed safely in Kazakhstan with 2 crewmates on May 14, wrapping up a 5-month mission aboard the International Space Station. A Soyuz capsule under an orange parachute raised clouds of dust as it ignited an engine to cushion its landing some 150 kilometers southeast of the town of Zhezkazgan in central Kazakhstan at 8:31 a.m. The mission included an impromptu spacewalk on Saturday to fix an ammonia coolant leak that had cropped up 2 days earlier. Without the repair, NASA likely would have had to cut back the station's science experiments to save power. The cooling system dissipates heat from electronics on the station's solar-powered wing panels. Hadfield became an internet sensation with his short online videos detailing the minutiae of space life. The mission was the 35th expedition aboard the space station, a permanently staffed laboratory for biomedical, material science, technology demonstrations, and other research.
Water is known to be the source of life around the universe. What scientists are trying to do is trying to identify any sources of water in space to see whether or not life exists there. What they've done recently, they've recently discovered that water is present in the upper stratosphere of Jupiter, but they don't know how the water actually got there until very recently.
Okay, so what was the cause of this water then?
Basically, what they found is that the cause of the water in the stratosphere of Jupiter was due to a week-long collision in 1994 when a comet collided on the surface of the planet.
You sent a week-long collision. So this comet that collided in 1994 took a week to actually collide with the planet.
Yeah, in terms of Earth time, it was a week's collision, which caused a massive scar across the planet and also caused the water vapor to rise up from the surface of the planet into the upper stratosphere of Jupiter.
Right, okay. So it doesn't necessarily mean that there's water that's naturally found there and there's whole water systems that would point to life on the planet. So I guess that's what the mystery would be. I mean, why the water was there in the first place.
Yeah, so they know that water did exist or does exist on Jupiter, but they didn't understand how this vapor was actually forming around the upper stratosphere, which they have now found out.
So the comet was actually colliding in 1994, and it took us to 2013 to work out why it was there.
That's the thing about science. We find out one thing, and the reasons we find out later on. Now, China conducted its first test flight with its own home-developed aircraft biofuel in Shanghai. Let's take a closer look.
China has conducted the first test flight of a civil jet powered entirely by home-developed aircraft biofuel in Shanghai. China becomes the 4th country to own the research and development technology and production ability of aircraft biofuel, following the United States, France, and Finland. The plane took off from Hongqiao International Airport at 5:43 and returned at 7:08. The aircraft biofuel used in the test flight is made from palm oil, and it is reported that China already has the ability to make aircraft biofuel from waste cooking oil.
Now, a solar-powered plane has flown over San Francisco. The flight was technically just a test run to prepare for a planned cross-country trip later on in the month. The plane will depart from the Bay Area all the way to Arizona. Now, the test flight was not the first flight for this airplane, but it will be the longest.
The amazing thing about this flight was that it managed to stay up in the air for 16 hours. Now that's a long time for a lightweight aircraft. The flight from Singapore to say London is around 14 hours. So for a lightweight aircraft using the sun's energy to fuel that journey is quite amazing.
Without any, carbon emissions as well. That's the most important thing, because we talk about carbon emissions, but actually airplanes have a huge impact on the environment. Now, the actual plane has a wingspan of about 208 feet, and it flew about 3,000 feet up in the air. And also, it weighs about 3,500 pounds.
Which is significantly less than a mainstream aircraft.
Yeah, exactly. This is a lightweight aircraft, but if this technology works well on this plane, it could be something later on in the future that could be transferred into the normal aircraft that we use for traveling.
Yeah, because on a mainstream aircraft at the moment, the size of the tanks is the size of a huge room. So if they could replace that with using solar energy, it could be much more cheaper, could be much more easier to actually use, and it could even be safer.
And better for the environment as well, don't forget that.
Let's go to our correspondent for the details of our next story.
Stunning images from NASA's Cassini spacecraft provide the first close-up visible light views of a massive hurricane churning around Saturn's North Pole. According to NASA, the hurricane's eye is about 1,250 miles wide, 20 times larger than the average hurricane eye on Earth. The hurricane swirls inside a six-sided weather pattern known as the hexagon, while thin clouds surround the outer edge of the hurricane, traveling at 330 miles per hour. Exactly how long the massive storm has been churning remains unknown, but scientists believe it's been active for years. Cassini's composite infrared spectrometer and visual and infrared mapping spectrometer detected a great vortex in 2004, but the spacecraft was unable to obtain visible light views because Saturn's North Pole was dark as the planet was in the middle of its North Polar winter. Visible light views of the hurricane were seen in August 2009, after the passing of the equinox flooded the planet's northern hemisphere with sunlight. Scientists will use the hurricane on Saturn to study hurricanes on Earth that feed off warm ocean water. While there is no water close to the clouds on Saturn, scientists hope an understanding into how storm systems on the second largest planet use water vapor will shed light on how terrestrial hurricanes are created.
So with the advancements of technology, and particularly in the field of robots, there's been a huge movement to actually stop killer robots being launched in the future. There's a global campaign in this regard, and to find out a little bit more is a special video report.
The campaign to stop killer robots was officially launched in London last month in an urgent move to preemptively ban the use of lethal robotic weapons that can kill without any human intervention. A coalition of concerned groups is pushing for an international treaty to be written before the world sleepwalks towards a dangerous future where wars are fought by so-called killer robots. No one knows exactly when such machines could be available for use in wars, but the campaign predicts it will happen in the next 2 decades, and stresses the need for the world to address the potential problems before it is too late to stop. Over the past 10 years, the use of unmanned armed vehicles or drones has increased dramatically and has changed warfare, posing new humanitarian and legal challenges. The campaign fears that if left unchecked, countries like the United States, Russia, and China will be in an arms race to develop killer robots, which would give full combat autonomy to machines. Human Rights Watch says any development that is not able to be held accountable under international law will set back progress made in human rights, such as the Geneva Conventions.
To improve the quality of life, many people may decide to change the country that they live in. But now a Dutch company aims to make life on Mars a reality. Let's take a closer look.
Mars One began its search for volunteers to fly and live on the Red Planet in April. The company's CEO announced an open call for anyone to apply for the flight, knowing that they will never be able to return home. The mission will be one-way only, since there currently is no technology that would enable a return trip from Mars to Earth. The plan is to send 4 astronauts to Mars in 2013 with the goal of establishing a permanent human colony. Takeoff, landing, and various parts of the mission will be streamed on the internet and viewed by 4 billion people. Whether or not video transmission will be live or edited has yet to be determined. Anyone can apply for the mission, but there is an application fee of $38 that will go toward the estimated $6 billion required to fund the mission. Applicants must be between 18 to 40 years of age and in good physical condition. Mars One plans to train the team for 7 years before the 7-month-long flight scheduled for 2023. The Netherlands-based nonprofit plans to send new missions thereafter every 2 years, with a second crew joining in 2025. When they arrive on Mars, there will be a habitable settlement already there. The living quarters will be prepared by robotic missions that go to the Red Planet ahead of the astronauts. The organization said it has already received inquiries from 10,000 prospective applicants in more than 100 countries.
Now, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for on this episode of Insight, but inshallah we'll be back in a couple of weeks with more technology news and reviews.
We hope you're enjoying Insight, and we want to hear what you think about the stories and products we've talked about today. Also, tell us what you would like to see on future programs.
You can send us your comments to insight@mta.tv, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter @InsightMTA.
Thanks for joining us, and Assalamu alaikum.